Former President Trump is making inroads with union workers. Joe Biden pushes men on women's sports teams. Plus, Alvin Bragg continues his bogus case in New York. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
Okay, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. And a special announcement. This is episode 600. We've had 600 episodes of the 13-minute news hour, and I thank you so much for your support. We're going to start with former President Trump and his growing base of support among traditional Democrat constituencies. You've seen the numbers. Trump is gaining support among young voters. He's gaining support among Black and Latino voters. And he's gaining support among traditional blue-collar union workers. Now, this is something I'm very happy to see because that's the environment that I grew up in. That was the setting. My dad, starting in Chicago before moving to Texas, was a steel worker and a pipe fitter, a lifelong union guy. And as I started to learn about politics, I always wondered, how can these people be Democrats? When you look at policies and not the Democrat rhetoric, no one should be voting for Democrats, especially these hardworking union types. The left wants to eliminate manufacturing jobs, strangle growth with countless regulations, make home prices unaffordable, and drive up the cost of living for people, regular working people, many of whom are living paycheck to paycheck. Back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan built a voting bloc known as the Reagan Democrats, and it looks like in 2024, former President Trump could be doing the same thing. Check out these comments from a local union leader in very blue New York City.
In the past, we are basically Democrats, all of us. And after what's happened the last 4 years in this country, Democrats are basically pushing everybody to the other side. We're a very patriotic group, and we love our country, and we want the best for America. We are tired of immigration. We're tired of our tax dollars going to immigration. We're tired of the crime. We need to put a handle on things in this country and bring it back to how it should be.
Great comments. And you know, I've been waiting for this moment for quite a while, where the left just starts to collapse under its own failed strategy. Since the Democrats are guided by Marxist ideology, they have no true philosophy other than to divide and conquer. They make their living by going from one group to the next, telling each one how oppressed it is and how someone else, conservatives, white people, men, America, is to blame. That system is unsustainable. Blue-collar, working-class guys don't embrace guys dressing up like women, competing on women's sports teams. They don't embrace losing their jobs to the green agenda scam. They just want to raise families and make a living. Now, many of these blue-collar Democrats see their party as not only extreme, but just plain weird.
I put out a poll in my union. President Trump is leading Joe Biden 3-1 on my presidential poll out of my 9,000 members right now. We are very tired of the situation with groceries, inflation, gas prices, illegal immigration, crime. We're living it every day in New York City.
Again, the Democrats and the left are so bent on pushing drag queen story hours or pornographic books on children or shutting down America's energy production or having taxpayers pay off student loans of the elite that they are showing they can't actually govern. Inflation, crime, the economy, the border, basic issues, and the Democrats are failing on all of them. Meanwhile, when Trump shows up in New York at a construction site, we hear this.
Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
It's just amazing. Joe Biden can't get 10 people to show up at his events, but Trump just walks outside and people come out to show support. And all this is happening as the Democrats wage an unprecedented election interference scheme to keep Trump off the campaign trail. Biden is hitting city after city in crucial swing states, while Trump is stuck in court. If this isn't election interference, I don't know what is. On the flip side, the more Biden talks, the more he reminds voters of just how lost the country is right now. The Democrats have failed as a party, and traditional Democrat voters just want to get back to normal. And believe it or not, to many of them, that is exactly what Donald Trump represents: a return to a strong economy, secure border, low inflation, and a much more stable world. Okay, Next, let's look at the fallout from Biden's changes to Title IX. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, on Monday, I touched on Joe Biden's changes to Title IX regulations, which were originally designed to ensure that women had the same opportunities in sports and scholarships that men do in high school and colleges across the country. Now, Biden and the radical left have turned Title IX upside down, and instead of focusing on discrimination based on biological sex, the focus is now based on gender identity. This, of course, means that anything goes. Men have an open invitation to compete on women's sports teams and take victories, scholarships, and championships away from women in women's sports. This should be renamed the Unstable Mediocre Men's Protection Act. Now, Dr. Cade Brumley, the Louisiana State Superintendent of Education, recently spoke with Newsmax on the fallout of the changes to Title IX, and anyone who actually cares about women's rights should be concerned.
This rule, this revised reckless rule, doesn't go into effect until August. It's over 1,500 pages long. We want time to review the rule. And we just asked our school systems across the state to pause and take a break. Do not change your practices. Do not change your policies, because this is a bridge too far. And we are exploring every option available to challenge the Biden administration on this new rule.
So there is some time to review and mount challenges. But the problem is that the Democrats are so bent on destroying women's sports that they are willing to pull the poor and special needs students down in order to advance this agenda. That's right. Failure to comply with Biden's mandates could result in the loss of school lunch funding or funding for special education, all in the name of promoting the land of make-believe that a man can be a woman simply by saying so.
I've communicated to the USDA, the U.S. Department of Education, and have asked them, are you serious about taking funding for breakfast and lunch from our most vulnerable students? Are you serious about pulling dollars for students with exceptionalities that need additional support? Are you serious about pulling funding for students in our most impoverished communities if the state, which has laws in place in the state of Louisiana that are contradictory to this federal law, doesn't abide by these new Title IX revisions?
In addition to the obvious impact this will have on women and girls, there are also First Amendment implications because Biden and his team are now saying that if you don't use someone's preferred pronouns, that could be considered a form of sexual discrimination. So you either have to play along with this fantasy or you could be prosecuted. That doesn't sound like freedom of speech to me. All right, next, Alvin Bragg's bogus trial against former President Trump continues, and with each passing day, it's becoming more and more clear just how bogus the case is. We know that a similar set of circumstances existed with Hillary Clinton's campaign, listing something as a campaign expense that really wasn't. Yet she and her team simply paid a fine. No criminal charges whatsoever. As it stands now in the New York trial, many legal analysts are still trying to figure out what Trump is actually being charged with.
This case has no crime that is discernible. Many of us are still debating, second week into this case, what was the crime Trump was trying to conceal? The key is that it takes a lot for people to stand up, even in a jury room, and be that one or two person to say, I have doubts. Particularly in New York, when you have doubts of a conviction of Donald Trump. To have an attorney weigh in at that moment could silence those dissenting voices. That's why I think it's a bad idea, and I don't think it's a good thing to have two attorneys on this jury.
Not only is Jonathan Turley not sure what the case is all about, but he is lamenting right there the fact that there are two attorneys on the jury, which could carry a lot of weight in swaying the opinion of other jury members. As far as a recent testimony by National Enquirer executive David Pecker, Turley finds that the testimony helps Trump in that Pecker essentially admitted that deals done to suppress or magnify stories are made with celebrities all the time. Nothing was unique to Trump, and nothing was illegal.
You know, this case thus far is about as good a model of prosecution as the Titanic is a good model for navigation. I mean, I don't understand why they would start with Pecker. in my view, he's disastrous. You know, first of all, I'm speaking as a criminal defense attorney. Most good prosecutors, if they know that the criminal defense attorney is going to bring up something damaging, will bring it up themselves. And the most damaging aspect of Pecker's testimony is that he did the same thing for a wide variety of celebrities. I mean, that is really quite damaging.
In other Trump legal news, Judge Eileen Cannon has unsealed more records related to Jack Smith's classified documents case against Trump. As reported by the Gateway Pundit, the newly unsealed documents detail allegations that Jack Smith's prosecutor, Jay Bratt, threatened Stanley Woodward, an attorney for Trump's valet driver, Walt Nauta. In other words, as more documents are revealed, more is learned about Biden DOJ collusion with the special counsel or the FBI or other organizations to get Trump. The curtain has been pulled back and the weaponization of government has been revealed. Okay, so we've had Democrats losing their grip on union voters, Joe Biden pushing men in women's sports, and Alvin Bragg abusing the legal system in New York. We need to ask them, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, a relaxed brain.
Okay, first on Relaxed Brain Friday, with all the protests going on around college campuses, especially America's so-called elite institutions, it's just stunning to see how little these protesters actually know. So many of these left-wing radicals are completely clueless. They just know, because they've been indoctrinated, that they're supposed to protest Israel. So boom, here they are.
I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
I wish I was more educated. You think it might be helpful to actually know why you are protesting before you protest? Maybe it's just me, but it seems you might want to know what you stand for before you start throwing rocks or punching people. Next, you know crime is getting bad when even presidential assassins are complaining. That's right, John Hinckley Jr., the man who tried to assassinate President Ronald Reagan, is speaking out on the crime in New York. As reported by the New York Post, Hinckley said, quote, "I'm afraid of New York City, and I just don't want to go there right now." Hinckley added that New York City is a, quote, dangerous mess. That's just classic. And finally, a new study released by UCLA's Williams Institute School of Law claims that LGBTQIAA2PS plus people face greater risks from climate change than straight people. That's right. According to the study, quote, "Climate change represents a global challenge, but it also exacerbates existing disparities among individuals and communities. LGBT people face discrimination and exclusion, creating unique vulnerabilities that compound and heighten their exposure to climate-related harms," end quote. And with that, friends, I'm ready for the weekend. Okay, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you the links to all the videos and stories used on today's show, so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Monday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.